me to prove a point. And ultimately, kind of show you the status of professional wrestling today. Let's look at, in comparison, first off, the USW Warzone 4 card. This is one of the big four, main four match cards or shows of the year within USW. There's obviously Insanity, there's Bulletproof, there's Call to Greatness, and there's Warzone. Very oftentimes, I think it's every odd year, it's essentially the loser of each match. It's Severity brand versus Severity brand and Intensity brand versus Intensity brand. And on the odd years, the loser of each of those matches gets shifted over to the other brand. That's essentially how wrestling brand switching is dealt with in USW. And then every even year, it's Intensity versus Severity. So this year, it's an odd year. Warzone 4 is in 2019. So the loser of each match gets shifted to the other brand. Let's just look at the match card and how far along the match card goes. Like from first match to last match, how good each match is, how much you anticipate each match. First match on the card expected to be the kickoff match. Peyton Hawthorne versus Cindy Allison Jackson. That's a match I could find myself interested in. Peyton Hawthorne needs some stability. Cindy Allison Jackson just seems to be floating around, if I'm being honest with you. So that's something I would be looking forward to, but it's definitely not one of the best matches on the card, in my opinion. Next match is for the Global Championship. It's Lone Wolf versus Indigo Child, a match that on the entire card could be the most overlooked and become the biggest cult classic. Andrew Palmer versus Tanner Wallace, probably the least looked forward to or anticipated match on the card. But then you get to yours truly versus Simon Saint for the Red Belt Championship. So there's a step back up the ladder. Then you've got Austin Cole versus Ash, which is another match that I think could really steal the show. You got the oppositionals of Ryler and Sickle versus the New Northern Lights of Blaine North and Samuel North. Then you got Ty Jackson and Thomas Bennett, the Ringmen, versus Golden Manifesto, your Mika Jordan and Austin Atomics for the World Tag Team Championship. All of a sudden, I think you're getting into the meat and potatoes of the card. You got George Martin versus Dwayne Porter, a match that I think could really become the biggest standout match for both men's careers this year. You got Alicia Sinclair versus Jade Oliver in the Modern Day Royalty for the USW Women's Championship. That's one of the most anticipated matches I've seen in the women's division on Intensity for a while now. Paul Orlando versus Otis Crane for the International Championship. Otis Crane is always a grand performer. Love Otis Crane. Not exactly sure what he's going to do against Paul Orlando. However, they're both going to put on an excellent match. I can almost guarantee you that. Western Light versus Quincy Newsome in a weapons match is also going to be the great grudge match, the violent grudge match of the show that everybody's going to pay attention to just because of the action. Alex Martin versus Suzuki Kirikashi, the leader of the Promised Land. The story's already built in. Alex Martin is looking at Suzuki Kirikashi as the guy that brainwashed his brother and took him into the Promised Land with a lot of promised failures. So there's a storyline there. Ozark Hills and Benny Franklin versus the Wine Cellar for the USW Tag Team Championships that Hills and Franklin just stole from Sam Basin and Shane Grayson the other week. That's a match that should be a great rematch from Call to Greatness. Aphrodite versus Taylor Hell for the World's Women's Championship and what will probably be Taylor Hell's motion to a Wednesday Night Intensity. Mr. Anthony versus Norris Cadaveri for the Blue Belt Championship, which will probably be the best worked match on the card. Philip Akron versus Crosby Thorne for the USW Championship. Probably one of the lesser anticipated matches on the card, but nevertheless feels big, but also takes a backseat to Hernastley versus Eli Kaner in the ladder match for the World Heavyweight Championship, with Eli Kaner becoming somehow the biggest fan favorite in USW today. That is a major shock, especially after he came back from that injury. So that is a big match card for Warzone 4, but every single match is real anticipated. Now let's look at WWE Stomping Grounds for 2019. New Day versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. That could be a fun match. Hey, Samoa Joe versus Ricochet for the United States Championship. That seems intriguing. Maybe I'll pay attention. Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre. Sorry, did I not just see that at WrestleMania? And like 3 or 4 Raws afterwards? No, that's fine. Bayley versus Alexa Bliss for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Wait, I'm sorry. Isn't Alexa Bliss on Raw? And Bayley's on SmackDown. Why is Raw? Don't you fear? Oh, whatever. Perhaps they'll come back from their bad and really abysmal feud from 2017. No big deal. Lacey Evans versus Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's Championship. Sorry, what? Didn't those two just fight at Money in the Bank a few weeks ago? And didn't Lacey Evans lose that match? Daniel Bryan and Rowan versus Tucker and Otis for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. Okay. Sure. That's okay, that's acceptable. That's fine. Hey, Tony Nese versus Akira Tozawa versus Drew Gulak for the Cruiserweight Championship. I mean, that isn't going to get a reception because WWE does not like to advertise 205 live very often. That'll probably take away from the match. You know what? That's fine. Let's look at the main event. Kofi Kingston and Dolph Ziggler. Okay, well that should be a decent Intercontinental Championship match. Oh, it's in a steel cage. And it's for the WWE Championship? I mean, Kingston's a great WWE champion, but Ziggler? Stand up Nick Namath? Really? That's your co-main event? Didn't we just see that the other week at that, big show that shall not be named? Really? Didn't we just see Rollins and Corbin at that big show that shall not be named? And it's for the Universal Championship. Does anybody really want to watch Baron Corbin hoist up the leather belt, the jam belt? Stomping Grounds is the dose of reality that the WWE needs to realize that they can deal with mediocrity and stagnation all they possibly want to. They can deal with really abysmal live show attendance. And hell, they can deal with the million or so, like the 1.4 rating on the USA Network. They can still do their show. I mean, sure, Fox wants them to consistently rack in 3 million viewers each and every single week, but just like AEW probably will not bring in a lot of new wrestling fans with their move to TNT in the fall, SmackDown on the Fox network will probably not make people go, oh, so wrestling's on this network now. I must watch it. SmackDown's not going to bring in consistent viewers because nobody cares about wrestling. Why? Because the WWE hasn't given them a reason to care about wrestling. You can make the argument that Impact Wrestling and New Japan and Ring of Honor and AEW can make people care about wrestling, but what do people associate with wrestling? What do people associate wrestling with more than anything else? 3 letters, W, and E. And the WWE does not do a damn thing to make people want to watch wrestling. They see a match, they go, that wasn't bad. They tune in the next week, they see the same thing they watched before. And they realize, oh, this is just a waste of time. That's why nobody watches it. SmackDown moving to Fox in the fall is not going to do anything for wrestling because nobody's going to look at WWE on Fox and go, because it switched from cable to network, that they need to then watch the product. Nobody cares about wrestling because they know it's all an act. They know every single thing is predetermined. All right? A lot of the spots are called in the ring. It takes a lot of talent. And man, are those guys physically capable of going for hours. But at the end of the day, that's not enough to bring people in. It's a bland product. It's boring. It's bleak. It's hopeless. And just because you change 3 letters that commercialize and promote you as the best that they got to offer does not mean people will then realize that that's the best they have to offer. Fox carries, or at least Fox used to carry, the UFC. Fox carries the NFL. Fox... Do they still carry baseball? I think Fox used to at least carry baseball as well. They've carried boxing. They've carried plenty of actual sports. Fox Sports is going to carry the XFL. You mean to tell me that you're going to move to a network you expect people to now watch you on because it's that network that you're on, despite the fact that the network you're on is very, very, very well known for liking actual sport. Don't get me wrong, I'm a professional wrestler myself. Am I in the shape of Seth Rollins? By no means am I in the shape of Seth Rollins. All right, these guys are great, physically capable to do anything. And as a matter of fact, the schedule that they take on, thanks Vince, is more grueling than any other sport you see. UFC combatants would not last an hour in the WWE. Ronda fucking Rousey started crying after a few months because of just how hectic the road schedule was. The baddest woman on the planet, the woman that was once assumed to never lose a UFC fight in her career, was given 3 months and she started welling up in tears because of how hard the schedule was. You can clamor on to the UFC all you fucking want. They fight 2 or 3 fights a year, and that's their payday. All right, Conor McGregor can bitch about his opponent in the octagon all he wants. He's a fucking crybaby bitch in the WWE. Not because he can't take the pain or the physical aspect of it, but because he's going to have to be there night in and night out over and over and over again every fucking night, taking 80 bumps or so each and every fucking night. And he's going to have to keep doing that over and over and over again because he's contracted to do so. He gets no off days. That's why Ronda Rousey started tearing up, because that schedule breaks people. It doesn't matter how hard-hitting or how dominant you are, like a Conor McGregor or like an Anderson Silva. You are a crybaby bitch underneath the WWE schedule. There is no doubting that. And people that watch Fox for the sporting aspect are aware of that. UFC, people that fight in that company are combatants. The NFL, you're running into each other every fucking play. 40 seconds go by, you've run into some dude at 375 pounds of lean bulk muscle 2 times already. Hundreds of times each game. And then baseball, hell, the fucking motive of the game is somebody throwing a ball to somebody that could very easily hit that ball straight back into his fucking face. And he's got nothing. He's not even allowed a helmet. He wears a fucking hat. That is the Fox network. That's the people. That's the demographic you're going to be getting. People that watch those sporting events. People that watch sport. And you expect them to be fine with the theatrics. As a matter of fact, your move to Fox will probably be more lamb-basted than anything else. Celebrities will not go, oh, WWE's on Fox. That must mean it's popular. And the demographic you're going to be getting with people that watch Fox for the sporting aspect will just start fucking making fun of you. Then they'll look at AEW and go, hell, maybe this is a little bit more fun than anything. But this company over there, what the fuck are they doing? You gotta be fucking kidding me. Stomping Grounds is the slap in the face. WWE can handle 1.4 million viewers. It's going to be a problem on Fox because it's going to be a scramble to get viewership up because nobody's going to watch SmackDown on Fox because the change is not really going to add anything. Fox will scramble to get the WWE up to the 3 million consistent viewers, and it'll just seem like a jumbled mess in the on-screen product when it becomes finalized. So for right now, they can deal with the 1.4 million. They can deal with not getting 3 million consistently when they move to Fox because they can still put on their product. They can still go, well, we're still doing our own thing and people will still watch. Stomping Grounds is this Sunday. Still thousands of tickets to the point where I think I read they were giving a 3-for-1 deal. They are scrambling. Now they realize that the only reason they're able to sell out pay-per-views like Money in the Bank or Extreme Rules or Hell in a Cell is because of that name brand recognition. You know there's going to be a Hell in a Cell match, and you're going to see a Hell in a Cell match live if you go to Hell in a Cell. You know you're going to watch people jump from ladders and try to get a small briefcase at the top before being thrown out 20 feet to what seems like their demise in some occasions when you go to Money in the Bank. You expect to see a Money in the Bank match. When you go to the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, you expect to see that Elimination Chamber structure because you go to Elimination Chamber. USW has managed to do really, really well when it comes down to just single pay-per-views. Not even name brand recognition. Vendetta, Emergence, Allegiance, Hellfire. Those pay-per-views always have match cards with a different match on them than what you saw last month, or what you'll see next month, or what you saw last fucking Wednesday night on Intensity. This is the same fucking match card for the most part that the WWE would have put on if Saudi Arabia's show was something they wanted to have remembered. But at the end of the day, if you put Stomping Grounds on this week and last week was Extreme Rules, last week's Extreme Rules pay-per-view would have had the same fucking card as Stomping Grounds. The only difference is probably Kingston and Ziggler wouldn't have taken place in a cage. This is the only difference that they would have had on this card. Look at Warzone. All right, a bunch of technical matches, a bunch of tag team matches, a bunch of matches that have an actual prize, a championship on the line, and a bunch of grudge matches with a weapons match and ladders match taking place on the card as well to add some demolition. This is a pay-per-view that already has a stipulation. They put in all this shit into place, even with the fact that the loser of each match goes to the other show. They just added emphasis, and now Warzone has sold out within that. The snap of a finger, sold out. Stomping Grounds has thousands of tickets available because the WWE has no recognition for Stomping Grounds. The only reason Great Balls of Fire was even talked about so much was because it had a stupid name. Stomping Grounds, on the other hand, well, I mean, that's a fair enough name. Definitely not Great Balls of Fire. It's not Beast in the East. It's not fucking Taboo Tuesday. It's Stomping Grounds. Sounds more like a wrestling event than Great Balls of Fire. So it doesn't have Great Balls of Fire's stupid name to give it its own promotionalization. Great Balls of Fire was a fucking decent show. As a matter of fact, I was kind of ashamed that the pay-per-view didn't come around the day or the fucking year afterwards. So I actually liked the Great Balls of Fire pay-per-view for the most part. But Stomping Grounds, not really an original name. Not stupid enough to make a meme out of. The match card is bland and basic and weak. Same thing we saw. Same thing we will see. Rematch from Raw. Rematch from SmackDown. Rematch from Mania. Rematch from Money in the Bank. Rematch from Saudi Arabia. You see, the WWE continues to put on their shows with weak attendance and bad writing and poor production. They can continue doing so because Extreme Rules will sell out. Money in the Bank will sell out. There will still be that proof that they can fill out an arena, even if it takes it only happening once a month. Raw does not sell out. SmackDown does not sell out. SmackDown will not sell out. I think the next time SmackDown will sell out will be in the fall when it moves to Fox, because everybody will want to see how that train wreck goes, and then it'll start slowly dying off. AEW will succeed because it's going for a wrestling product. It's going to bring in wrestling fans. WWE has people that want to be entertained, and it doesn't give them entertainment. AEW brings in wrestling fans, and they want to see wrestling, and AEW gives them wrestling. AEW gives the fans what they want, but also gives them the fucking story that the fans are meant to see. WWE prides themselves on sports entertainment, but they water down the wrestling so damn badly that it's no longer even really sport, and it's not fun, so it's not entertainment. WWE is its own fucking category. Subpar bullshit. Right? Not even grade A subpar bullshit. Like grade C subpar bullshit. Shit I wouldn't even feed to the fucking pigs in the trough. WWE can keep putting on these terrible shows because once a month they fill out an arena. They didn't fill out this arena. It certainly won't look like they filled out the arena. All the cameras are going to be put on the hard camera side. Or, I'm sorry, facing in the direction of the hard camera. Because anything or any fucking seat below the hard camera will just see empty fucking seats. And you'll be able to tell that by looking on Twitter with all the people taking a shot of the other side of the arena and going, ha ha ha, WWE's dying, LOL, hashtag AEW. Now WWE can't put on a shitty product and expect to sell out an arena because they didn't sell out the arena. They finally found the time in which they did not sell out. Pay-per-views selling out once a month showed WWE that no matter how poor the product may be, people would still watch because it was a pay-per-view. They still had power on their side because they could still draw. Because it was WWE. The name WWE drew. And pay-per-views still felt like a big thing because they were pay-per-views. Like Stomping Grounds is a pay-per-view. And it's got the WWE name, but nobody cares. Because WWE really doesn't have that name brand value because they don't have any value. If anything, it's a negative value. And Stomping Grounds not selling out, doing so poorly that AEW could run 5 Double or Nothings within the fucking same month with the same matches, and they would still have a better buy rate and attendance than Stomping Grounds, shows the WWE that they're really not the hot shot they think they are. Fox is going to do nothing. Their business product is slowly dying, and they're slowly bankrupting themselves as well, trying to keep around talent they'll never fucking use just so AEW won't get them. Hell, even keeping talent underneath contract, probably like, it's just Luke Harper. He's a guy that would go to AEW. He's a guy that could run a company. God, give me the opportunity to book Luke Harper. He will be the greatest wrestler of this generation. He is fucking amazing. The Revival, they're going to AEW no matter what the fuck you do. All right, Shinsuke Nakamura, maybe he won't go to AEW. Maybe he'll retire. He went to WWE like it's a fucking vacation. All right, he doesn't need to do anything else. He already solidified his legacy. Rusev, maybe. Maybe he'd go. But WWE is also keeping around talent on their NXT roster that they're signing now for 5 years. They are petrified of AEW. They're getting flashbacks. AEW is selling out arenas without any story. And WWE is giving so much story that it takes away from the wrestling, and they still can't fill out arenas. They're bankrupting themselves trying to hold on to talent they will never fucking use. It's like paying for an employee that just sits around sorting paper clips just because you don't want him to go to your competitor. Why? Not because the competitor has fewer paper clips than you do and they just want to have somebody out on the front like a fucking face man, but because you're petty and don't want to give them what you built. Your paperclips machine in human form is your paperclips machine in human form. The WWE just keeps getting talent, doing nothing with them, and just having them under contract. You don't see mass exodus from WWE anymore because the WWE can't afford mass exodus. That's why fucking 30, 40 wrestlers on WWE's roster want to get the fuck out of there. EC3 was so highly touted for WWE. Went to NXT, was a legitimate contender for the North American title. Went to WWE, he looks like he wants to commit suicide. I hope he doesn't commit suicide within the next few days of this video being live. But EC3 just does not look like he wants to be alive anymore. And I feel horrible for the guy because goddamn is he a star. Legitimate, bona fide star. Can run a... He was one of the only saving graces of Impact during its Impact era. Apparently one of the few people on Impact Wrestling's roster that actually knew what fan engagement was. And now he looks like he just wants to die. It comes as a surprise to some that the shitty title nobody expected to care about that looks like you took a fucking hamburger bun and smushed it into absolute unrecognizable status is now the highlight of the fucking product. Of course, when Bray Wyatt's demented Mr. Rogers isn't on, the two things that are so great about the show are the two things that the stale, incompetent, and inhumane creative staff don't work on. Right, give the creative staff the control of Bray Wyatt's Firefly Funhouse, Bray Wyatt's Firefly Funhouse, and it becomes just as bland as everything else. Same with the 24/7 championship picture. And this is all becoming understood by WWE because of Stomping Grounds. Pay-per-view has no identity. And the WWE were banking on their logo and the fact that the show was a pay-per-view to draw people. Raw and SmackDown can't draw people. All right, you can make the claim that it's because of YouTube. But you don't put pay-per-view matches on YouTube. Put the updates on YouTube, you don't put pay-per-view matches on YouTube. You put Raw recaps and SmackDown recaps and 5-minute segments on YouTube. You don't do that for pay-per-views. So you can blame YouTube for the weekly show. You can't blame them for the pay-per-view. It's simple. Your logo is attached to this show. The fact that it's a pay-per-view is a category that is attached to the show, and it still can't draw. Draws worse than Raw and SmackDown. What's your excuse now, Vince? Talent injuries? Well, I mean, you've got Seth Rollins. You have the Revival. What was I going to say? The Revival. You have Daniel Bryan. You have Kevin Owens, you have Sami Zayn, you have Ricochet, you have Samoa Joe. All of these talents you did not create that were essentially indie darlings for a long part of their lives. And that show still can't sell out. You've got Baron fucking Corbin main eventing a pay-per-view. I don't mind Baron Corbin main eventing a pay-per-view because I like Baron Corbin. I just think he's been booked like shit. I think he's great. I just think he's been booked horribly. But you've got this current era, this booked Baron Corbin main eventing a pay-per-view for the Universal title, the Jam Belt. Stomping Grounds is the launching point for WWE realizing they are going to die. And at this rate, I don't like seeing companies go out of business. But the WWE should go out of business. They deserve to go out of business. Not because it'll help AEW or New Japan or Ring of Honor or the wrestling industry as a whole. But because the WWE, if they're going to go around with the business mindset that, oh, well, Even if it hurts us financially, we need to be petty. And that's how they run business. They just sign people so other people can't. That is such horrible business practice that every other company that does so goes out in what seems like seconds. The WWE should be no different. No company, I don't want any company to go out of business, but the WWE deserves to. If they have people in charge that just work off of pettiness as opposed to working towards the best possible goal. These are the guys that got them onto the Fox network. These are the guys that got them to launch into the WWE network. These are the guys that have gotten the WWE more promotionalized now than they have been this decade. And their business practice, their main business model is sign people we don't use so other people can't have them. And then don't give them employee benefits. The WWE deserves to die. They shouldn't, but they deserve to. And they don't deserve to be the #1 wrestling company because they're not even wrestling. Nor are they sports entertainment. They're not sports, they're not entertainment, and they're certainly not wrestling. They're middle schoolers with a fake mustache on trying to pretend like they're high school seniors. Stomping Grounds is the biggest point of emphasis that the WWE will take away and learn from, hopefully. No matter how much talent you have on a show, no matter what card you put together, at the end of the day, you are not as important as you think you are. Your logo means less than you think it means. The standard of pay-per-view is something you have butchered so badly you can no longer reap the benefits yourself. Time to face up to the facts. Your shows suck, and they don't draw. Take away every pay-per-view and give it just a random name. Instead of USW's Vendetta, it's WWE Vendetta, and WWE Emergence, and WWE Agony, and WWE Allegiance. Not Backlash or No Mercy, because those are pay-per-views already established, but give WWE generic USW pay-per-view names, pay-per-views that USW, runs with and makes the most out of. And WWE does nothing. Hell, give WWE Call to Greatness. And it is nothing. It doesn't draw. It won't draw. Take a Royal Rumble out. Give them Insanity. Take Survivor Series out. Give them Warzone. Take a SummerSlam and give them, what's the other one? Bulletproof. Christ alive. Yeah, give WWE Bulletproof. USW made something of those. WWE would do nothing. Their shows would not draw. Their shows would not go anywhere. It would be the biggest financial collapse year of WWE's history. So take Stomping Grounds and give WWE 12 Stomping Grounds. And have that be their year. It's simple. WWE is screwed. That's exactly how it's going. And now the WWE sees that with this Stomping Grounds disaster. It is a disaster for WWE. And it may be their biggest disaster since WCW. And you want to fault AEW all you want. Call them a t-shirt business. Call them something that's overrated or overrated and so on and so forth. Or a Marks company. At the end of the day, you cannot... No matter what WWE fan you are not a wrestling fan, nor are you deserving of being taken seriously if you deny the fact that AEW picked the best time to rival WWE over the past 20 years. Could have done it in 2007, 2011. Cons could have gotten involved in 2013, 2017. They picked now, and it was the best possible time. The WWE is in a state of ruin and financial collapse is imminent. The definition of insanity is expecting a different result despite doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. WWE is suffering from a state of insanity, and the AEW minds behind the product see that. And they're seeing the truth that the WWE is now seeing from Stomping Grounds. The fact that WWE don't mean anything. That abbreviation does not mean anything. WWE do not mean anything. It's a worthless company with a trash product and a bunch of wrestlers that have been sadly mistreated in every way, from product-wise and professionally to humanely. There's nothing else to blame on it now. You can't blame injuries because you have plenty of roster time. Not to mention none of your stars are injured. You can't blame YouTube because none of your pay-per-views are really recapped on YouTube. So nobody goes to YouTube to catch up on the pay-per-view. USA Network is definitely keeping an eye on that. And Fox Network is definitely keeping an eye on that just to show Vince how much they saw into that lie. 24/7 Championship and Bray Wyatt's Firefly Funhouse can only do so much. Vince is all out of excuses. Now, it's just my company is no longer important. That's the excuse. Bet your ass Fox and USA will be keeping an eye on that. WWE Stomping Grounds has just broken the WWE out of their denial. And now, what they do with the information that they have cultivated from that denial and from the situation they're in, their response to it is completely up to them. And they really dug themselves into this hole because Stomping Grounds was their creation. And Stomping Grounds may be the first thing in a long time to show them just how wretched they are as a company, as a product, as human beings running an industry. Thanks for creating your ultimate destroyer.